All right, guys. Today we have got a very, very special guest. We've got Josh from Craft Vapery here. We're gonna be chatting through a few things. We're talking about his new juice line, and we're going to be touching base on his subscription service as well. So can you just give us a little background on what you do and who you are, Josh?
Sure. First and foremost, thanks for having me on, Cal.
No problem.
So I'm Josh. I'm the co-founder of Craft Vapery, and Craft Vapery really got its start by being a hand-picked, hand-curated subscription service for vapers. The idea being that when we got started vaping, we really wished that there had been a guide to really point out to us the best of the best that was in the marketplace and help us to avoid all the products that were ultimately going to be a waste of our money. And, you know, like most vapors, me and my partner had, a bowl of juice that we had bought at our local brick and mortar shops that tasted okay or someone recommended, and then we got home and we actually tried to vape it and find it to be unvapeable or certainly not something we'd fill another tank with, etc. So, we decided to try and really create something that would help cut through the noise and the sea of products that are out there and really focus in on the best of the best and the most premium products. So out of that, we launched Craft Vapery as a subscription service. And members come in, they sign up, they give us their flavor profile, which essentially is, them saying we have 16 flavor categories and you can yum or yuck any combination of those categories to let us know what your specific flavor palette is. You can specify how many bottles you want per month. It goes as low as 2, it goes all the way up to 8 bottles per month. And you tell us your nicotine strength. And then based on what you've told us, the data that you've given us, my team then hand curates a box that's specific for you every month. And we do so in a way so that you don't get repeats month to month unless you ask for them. You won't see the same brand again for several months, again, unless you ask for it. And the idea being is that we're out trying to identify the best of the best premium liquids that are on the market and bring them in to match those customers' profiles. So we've got about 700 plus flavors now total, and across 200 plus brands. And every month we bring in 4 or 5 new brands, a couple of flavors from each of them, and then we continue to kind of hand curate these packages for our customers every month. So that's Craft at its core. Based on the success of that business, we also have an online shop, a web shop that launched about a year ago, and members of the subscription program get a pretty healthy discount off everything in the shop, and at least here in the US, free shipping on domestic orders. And then based on the success of those businesses, we've also moved into a wholesale business where we supply about 15 or 16 different brands to B&M shops all over the world. And then we've just, as you mentioned, recently launched our own brand of liquids, Craft Vapery certifiably vapable liquids. So we do quite a bit, but at our core, we're still that company that's so focused on premium in the marketplace that the subscription is still the best example of how we really strive for the best of the best in vaping.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed with the box that you sent across to me, like the flavors in there were so like very, very spot on to what the flavor descriptions that I put across. And I mean, the fact that you get the actual handwritten note, I mean, I gushed about that in my review, but I think it's a fantastic touch. I think the fact that it's right down to the personal core, that I know that a woman called Meriwether made my box is a great thing to have. So the main build behind the subscription service was to provide a monthly box of premium liquids to people. So then when did you get the idea of like giving out the cards, these sort of playing cards from? Because if anybody's had a craft box, they'll notice that they get certain cards inside their box, which gives them a multiple amount of information about that juice. So where did that come from? Where did the inspiration for that come from to put that into the box?
So in order to explain those cards, I have to explain the handwritten notes first. So, but I'm happy to do so. So, you know, for me, craft has always really been about the love of vaping and the love of the community around vaping. And so I try and put a lot of that into what we do every day. Everyone that works here loves the industry, loves our customers. And so when we first started sending out boxes, you know, websites can be very cold and anonymous. You place your order, you get a confirmation email, and that's it. You're not really interacting with anyone. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was remind people that this is really a people-driven business and a people-driven process of what we do of curating these boxes for our customers. It's not a computer algorithm. It's not, you know, there's a job here called curator and a department of those people who all they do is look at those flavor profiles and decide what should go in that box based on what you said you liked and didn't like, based on what you've gotten previously from us. So there's a lot of human interaction, and the note was a way for us to remind people that we were doing this. It was done by a person for you as a person, and we did it with love. Yep. So the notes used to be very long because in the note, we also wanted to let you know why we picked what we picked for you. And when we grew, we got to a point where, you know, the curators were spending more time writing the notes than they were curating the boxes. And that's, you know, not really a good way to scale the business. And so I've always been really keen to give people more information about what they're doing. You know, vaping to me is a big part of it's about education, and there's a big lack of that education, you know, in the industry. So things like PG-VG ratio and the actual flavor description and what flavor categories the flavor is in, that's all the information that we end up ultimately putting on the back of the trading card. And the trading card was just a way for us to, you know, give you that information in a standardized format, in a way that celebrates the brand and the flavor, but also makes our life a little easier in writing those notes. So what it allowed us to do is really make the notes a love note, you know, between us and the customer. And a lot of times we'll sign them, you know, there's Meriwether and Katie and Roxy, and there's several women here. So a lot of times the notes even get signed, you know, XOXO, hugs and kisses.
Yeah, I got one of those.
That's how we feel, you know, about our customers. And so, you know, we'll always do some form of the handwritten note. We always want to remind people that we're real people. And yeah, there you go. Welcome to the craft family, my friend. But it allows us to really be, you know, kind of short and sweet with the note and still get our customers the information about what's in their box.
Yeah, because it's a great touch. Personally, I just wanted to explain where that came from.
And people are collecting them. You know, we've got a Facebook group called We Are Craft Vapers, which I'm happy to say just popped over 3,000 members, and it's a very active community. And there's several people in there who are saving them and trading them. It's fascinating that there's a little subculture that's developed just around the trading cards.
That's fantastic. So is that Facebook group open to anybody, or is it a craft?
No, it's open to anybody. You know, our thoughts is that if you are not part of our family in one way or another, come and start in the group. And if you're not impressed about craft as a company and someone that you want to do business with, then we're clearly doing something wrong. But you don't have to be a member to join the group or even be a customer. It's all you have to do is join, and then one of our moderators will approve you unless you have a known account that posts about Ray-Ban sunglasses, and then you're never allowed in our group ever.
Those Ray-Ban sunglasses are absolutely
out of control. It's the Ray-Ban epidemic on Facebook is a real problem.
I thought it was just us here in the UK. I thought it was just a joke, considering we don't get much sun, but it's obviously worldwide.
No, it's a global epidemic. It's worse than The Walking Dead. There's a whole like team of Ray-Ban zombies on Facebook. Yeah.
Just pumping away those keys.
Yeah, I don't know where they find these people, but it's amazing how many of those I have to delete every day.
So if you don't mind, we'll pop that that in the description as well. I also just wanted to mention before we move on from the actual box itself, I wanted to touch on that if you wanted to grab yourself your first craft box, if you use Undead 20, you'll save yourself 20% on your first box. And if you want to purchase anything from the craft store, if you put in Undead 10, you'll save yourself 10% on your final cart. So,
and I'll just plug, just to help your plug here, if you use that Undead 20 code and you subscribe, you automatically get that 10% discount off everything in the store as well.
Fantastic. There we go. You heard it here first.
I had to.
All right, so we've touched on the box. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention quickly was Native Wicks.
Yeah, so we love those guys. They're a local company. I got turned on to them pretty early, and as an avid vapor, I'm constantly looking for the best vape experience. And I've tried every form of wicking material, from stainless steel mesh to rayon, cotton balls, trying to source organic cotton balls, and then Japanese organic cotton and cotton bacon. And at the end of the day, Native Wicks for me is by far the best cotton for flavor. It's very heat resistant. It seems to last a lot longer than most other products. And so we just really like those guys. We share booth space when we go to conventions with them. And I love the product so much that I wanted to spread the word about it. So we started including Native Wicks samples with all of our boxes. And you can also subscribe to a variety of sort of accessory hardware with the box. So every month you can get Kanger atomizers or Atlantis atomizers or Joytech atomizers. And you can also get a puck of Native Wicks cotton, a 36-inch spool of it in every monthly box as well. So it's a way for us to kind of help promote good flavor and promote a really good company, and and then you can get the product through us at a discount as well.
Well, when you've got It's Toast on some Native Wick,
yep.
Combination to die for.
Yeah, I agree. I'm vaping exactly that right now, except my bottle is not very pretty because it comes straight from the manufacturing lab without a label, so that I don't have to waste a bottle of myself. But yeah, no, it's my go-to all-day vape.
Brilliant, man. So what we'll do, we'll move on. We'll move on to your juice line now. We'll have a wee chat about that.
Okay.
So first thing I noticed when I started looking into your juices was something that I personally loved, and that was the printed labels. I thought that was a thing. See when the box arrived, when the box arrived, I opened it up, and I'm having a look at it, and then I pick out your juices, and I'm looking at them like this, and I'm like, wow. So I run downstairs. I go up to Sarah, who's my fiance, and I go, look at these, look at that. So she's looking at it. She's like, what is it? What's different? And I said to her, try and take the label off. And she's like, let's try to take the label. She couldn't get it. She couldn't understand it. But it's printed labels, which I think is a fantastic idea when you've got bottles of juice, when you're dripping, and then you get the bit of juice that kind of comes down, your label and your information is automatically ruined. So what made you come up with the idea of printing the labels to the bottle?
Well, I think it was a couple of ideas that kind of came together all at the same time. The first is that here in the United States, the regulations around packaging and labeling have not yet been established. Whereas where you are in the UK, the framework for how these things are sold today and will be sold is set for the most part.
Yeah.
So one of the concerns early on in the US industry was if the label could be removed, is the safety aspect that the label provides still an adequate amount of safety. So we were looking for ways to make sure that label was sort of liquid proof in some way.
Yeah.
And there's a variety of ways to get around that. Screen printing to us, we looked at what other industries do, like the wine industry and the beer industry, and other packaged goods, nail polish, perfumes. the best of those products are screen printed on. It's not a spun on label.
Yeah.
So, it's really kind of an experiment for us. Screen printing on something that small is difficult. It still doesn't look as good as I want it to look. And so I think we'll continue to keep tweaking and revising until I get it perfect. But yeah, I mean, it was, I think I'm starting to see more of it in the industry. We weren't the first to do it. I think the Originals was actually the first to have screen printed bottles, and I saw theirs, and I saw, my favorite spirits that are out there, and they're all screen printed. None of them have paper labels at the high end. So it just sort of made sense to me that if I wanted a premium product, I should package it, correctly and responsibly. And that's where the idea came from. I'm glad you noticed. Most people don't.
I thought, well, that's the first thing I look for. In the, I don't know how it is in the States, but in the UK, as soon as we get a bottle, or I get a bottle, I automatically see if it's CLP compliant, see if it falls into what the regulations are going to be. I don't know how it falls with that in the UK, but as soon as I've seen it, I pick up a bottle and I always look at the labels. It's just something that I do.
And then I will say something for your market specifically. So we sent you that product direct from the US. We sent you the US SKU. There is a European SKU that has secondary label and the raised triangle to be in compliance with the current standards there. And then, come, I believe it's March of 2016, when everything has to be reduced down to the smaller bottle size, we have bottles that are compliant with the UK market as well. So we're well abreast of what your requirements are, on your side of the world.
Yeah.
And we're very excited about doing business with vapors in your part of the world. I just got back from the Paris Vape Expo, and I had always known and always had a respect for UK vapors, because my favorite groups and sort of forums online were all based in the UK, and my impression was that a lot of the high-end modding kind of started over in Europe, and there's a lot going on that moved vaping forward that came out of the UK. And so in the US, we tend to have blinders on. There's a very robust market here for vaping, and most US companies don't look out into the world. But when I do, I see that the world market for vaping is so much larger than just what's going on here in the US, and it's really quite exciting to me. I think that in many ways, the regulations that we expect to come in the US are going to be harmful to the industry here in the US. And I think we've got an even better framework to work with, in Europe and in the UK and abroad. So it's a very exciting, place to me. And a big, reason I mentioned is just a big part of that is making sure we've got, compliant packaging for all of those areas. So
with your juices, how did it come about? Because obviously you've got your subscription box, you've got your store, which sell a very array amount of different product. So where did the juice line come from? What was the passion you had behind creating this juice line with such flavors?
Yeah, so we actually started developing flavors before we even launched the subscription service. We always knew we wanted to be a liquid maker. But we also knew that marketplace was going to get very crowded, and so we started developing flavors just really for ourselves, very early on. And then, within the first few months of doing the box service, we started releasing the flavors to a limited group of our customers as a test market. So, for example, the sticky rice, which used to be codenamed "Here Comes the Sun," was actually available about a year and a half ago. They all had Beatles lyrics for code names. So we've been testing it with our customers for a while and making revisions based on their feedback and really trying to see, what would really resonate with them, how much we could push, the envelope in terms of what really defined a good flavor for those consumers. So, we tested things like sticky rice and what's called It's Toast Now was originally called Come Together. We were testing some of those flavors for over a year, and we tested about 26 flavors. But what we found across the time that we've been open, with all the data that we get from our customers on the subscription service and from our online web store, we have a lot of data about what people like and what they don't like. And so we started looking for holes, right?
Yeah.
We tested a lot of flavors that were, middle of the road. We did a lot of different fruit variations. We did a blueberry cheesecake, which was very popular. But when we look at what's out there, there's a lot of blueberry cheesecakes out there. There's a lot of, there's a lot of yogurts. There's certainly more than enough strawberry milks. So, what we wanted to do was try and find flavors that we had developed that people liked that didn't sit in those oversaturated buckets. And that's where these first three really were born from. So, the sticky rice was really developed as a joke. One of my partners came back from Malaysia and said, I bet you guys can't do a sticky rice. He had come back and we had made a cheese pizza flavor for one of our customers. It was a one-off.
Did it work?
Yeah, it was delicious and it tasted just like cheese pizza. But if you don't really I don't know that the world is ready to vape pizza. So
I think we're ready. Josh,
yeah,
I think we're ready. You need to get to that lab.
I'll experiment with again. But we had done that and we were all, excited that we had done this cheese pizza that this guy really liked. And we only gave it to one customer, literally made one bottle of it. And we came back and we shared this with one of my partners on his way back from Malaysia. And he's like, I bet you can't make a mango sticky rice. And so I like a good challenge. It's like the gauntlet's thrown. And one of my other partners came back and he's like, I think I nailed it. And he did. It was fantastic. And so, when we looked at what was sort of out there and what was popular, the sticky rice really stood out to us because it blended sweet and savory. Its toast really stood out to us because, again, yes, it's peanut butter and it's a little hint of peanut butter and strawberry jam, and those have been done before, but we spent so much time getting the bread right and actually getting a whole grain toast to taste like whole grain toast, including like a little bit of like a charred, like you toasted this too much flavor. And so, there's an element of savory there. And then with cornbread, it's the same thing. It's, there's a sweet element, but also sort of a savory element. And what we found was there was a theme there that no one had really done savory flavors in the marketplace. And, other than a joke or an experiment here or there. And so we wanted flavors that were, sweet, but not too sweet, but also had some element of savory and that, would be a conversation piece, something that you could vape and say, whether you liked it or not, that's definitely unique and, stands out. Like cornbread with you. And I know that in your review, you didn't like it, and that's totally fine. And, what I found is that you either have the reference to the food, you know what cornbread is, and you love it or you don't. And if you don't love it or you don't have that reference, it's a very strange flavor, right? Corn is a weird flavor to vape. But if you like the bread, then it's, I hate the term on point, but it's pretty on point.
it was one of those things. It reminded me of something. But what?
Because if you spend any time in the U.S., everything that we eat, the sodas that we drink, the foods that we eat, the animals that we eat, it's all based on corn. And so it's like a familiar flavor for your subconscious that, you don't necessarily even realize. Even if you live here and you live in the world of corn like I do, it's like a super familiar flavor, but not one that you can easily put your finger on.
It was very, very bizarre for me. Very bizarre. So, wait a minute, my dog's destroying the box. Out of there. So, obviously with cornbread, I couldn't get that right. But the one that I loved and really, and for me to say loved to a juice when I've only vaped it 4 times is quite a thing to say. But its toast blew my mind.
I love it.
I took one vape on that, and wow, it was as if I'd been taken back to my childhood where my gran used to give us toast with jam on it.
Yep.
And it was amazing. The nostalgia burst was insane.
It's impressive to me. Like, I've been all over the world, and everywhere that they serve bread, they eat bread with jam.
Yeah.
Like, everywhere. And so, when I thought about doing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is really where this started from, that's a very almost spiritual question, right? No two people make an identical. They're like snowflakes, right? No two peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are really alike. And everyone's got a preference. Some people remove the crust. Some people swear by the crust. Some people have to have grape jelly. Some people strawberry jam. Some people go preserves. Then the different types of peanut butter and almond butter and crunchy or not crunchy. It's a real, it's a real equation that has to be solved. So I could have released a whole line of peanut butter and jellies. We did quite a few experiments. 216 revisions on that flavor to get it where I wanted it to be, where it was my quintessential, I was shooting for my quintessential peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The problem is that peanuts as a flavor is really hard to extract naturally. It's in the protein and you can't really get the protein out. You're only really extracting the oil. And so peanut butter flavors are usually flawed. And so what I ended up with was jam with really good toast. And then the light bulb goes off and you're like, wait, this is like a universal breakfast. Like everywhere I've been, breakfast has included jam and toast. If not, I had breakfast in Paris and that was it. I had cappuccino and, or some espresso and jam and toast. That was the whole breakfast. So, it just sort of made sense to me. And once the toast light bulb went off, I spent a lot of time getting the bread right. And I stopped trying to get the peanut butter right. And then that's where I think the magic really happened.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's a really good one. I'll definitely, when I finish that bottle, be putting through another order using my discount code,
yes,
of course.
Yes, of course. Undead
20. So sticky rice then. Sticky rice. We've touched on that a bit with it being a Thai dessert. But what exactly is sticky rice?
Okay, so it's a very popular Thai dessert, and typically it's mango sticky rice, and ours is a mango sticky rice. It's a fresh sliced mango on top of a bed of rice with coconut milk to give it some sweetness and some stickiness. So it's kind of a sweet and savory again, where the sticky rice brings in some of that savory through the rice flavor. And then there's just a hint of coconut, which adds a little bit of creaminess. And then the mango, which is a very sweet but very powerful fruit flavor. And again, it was something we developed for my, one of my partners on a challenge, and we like challenges, so we took it on. And from the first vape, we knew it was a unique and a special flavor, and it was one that consistently tested very well for us in every iteration. It was also the hardest for us to get clean. We're very keen on making sure that everything tests out, as clean as possible for diacetyl, for acetylpropanol, and its toast and cornbread are non-detect across the board. Sticky rice, the best we got was 6 parts per million diacetyl and no detect on acetylpropanol, which is still very, very low. In Canada, the standard is below 100 parts per million, doesn't even need to be disclosed, and there's something like 300 to 400 parts per million in a cigarette. So we just, sometimes it's impossible to avoid those things. It's not like we're sitting there adding, diacetyl to flavors, but they are in the flavor bases. And in order to preserve that flavor and get it right, we had to really do a lot of experiments to get it, as clean as we could.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of where we landed with it, because that's the flavor we wanted is still very much there, but we've done it in a way that is what we believe to be responsible.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the fact that you've actually just told us the AP and diacetyl in your liquids is quite a good thing to do, because a lot of juice manufacturers don't tend to disclose information when they don't need to.
Yeah, look, I have to preface it all by saying I have no idea what an acceptable level of diacetyl is for inhalation. Nobody studied it. It's a giant unknown for us. We have no idea if those diketones are even harmful in the context of vaping. There's no evidence that says that vaping them is actually bad for you.
Yep.
People smoking them for years, and we're not seeing diacetyl specific illnesses. So, it's something that the industry has started to call for in terms of the testing. So we've done the testing. but I certainly would still release the flavors even if they had higher levels in them, because I think ultimately it's up to the consumers to make the decision for themselves. And based on what's out there as a consumer, I can't say one way or the other is safe versus not.
Yeah.
So we have the results, we have them on file, we provide them when asked. And, I just like to always preface it by saying, here's the results, please make up your own mind. And we have no idea if any of this is actually safe for you or not.
But even still, Josh, the fact that you're willing to disclose them is more than what a lot of people can say. But we will not touch on that subject because I got into trouble for that last week. But anyway,
I don't want to get you in any trouble, Cal.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool. So we've got 3 juices from you just now. It's toast, sticky rice, and cornbread. Is there any other juices in the making that you could possibly give us a tiny little hint to?
Well, I can tell you this: that
like pizza.
There were 26 of those flavors that were tested. There's a couple that really, really stood out amongst our customers. I will tell you one of them, and I haven't told anyone this. One of them was a lemon taffy that was very, very popular. And so I'm now in that next phase of investigation with that flavor to try and see if it's, something that is safe and testable. And if it does, I think you can expect to see that come from us. And then I'm really excited about having limited release flavors, especially around holidays and special events. And so I think you'll see something from us around the end of the year holidays that's in line with winter.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like one of the things I like a lot is when juice companies bring out, like when Christmas comes around, they bring out like the ginger nuts, they bring out the eggnog, this kind of thing, and then they've got the Halloween seasons and the summer seasons, and it's a good thing to do. So these juices were pretty much based on your customer base through craft.
Yep, they give us a tremendous amount of feedback, through the Facebook group, through our online surveys, through the emails and the phone calls that they make, and we listen to all of it, and we record all of it, and we not necessarily recording every phone call, but we certainly record the data.
I don't know if you've heard about the UK news. We've got
but yeah, we listen to what our customers have to say, and since we're blessed with having customers from all over the world, we get a really good perspective from those customers on what they like and what they didn't.
Yeah, you really do need to bring out that pizza flavor, though, man.
I will. I tell you what, I will experiment with it again, and if I still like it, I'll send you a bottle. And if you like it, we can take it from there.
It needs to be done. It sounds amazing. So the nicotine strengths for these juices, I'm right in saying the 15 mils are 0, 3, 6, and 12.
That's correct.
And the 120, is it 120 or 125 mil?
120. We only made those in 3 milligram because they were made specifically for a trade show, ECC show that we have here in the US. And so we made the 120s that we had left. We made extra, and so we made them available. But we just released the 30 mils, and we had a problem with the screen printed bottles on those. So there was a delay there. And ultimately, they'll come with spun on labels at first until we get the screen printing on the 30s correct.
Yeah.
And then, so now that those are out, the next run will include 120s in all the strengths, 0, 3, 6, and 12. And then probably by the end of the year, we will begin to also introduce a 1.5 milligram SKU as well.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, why not venture into 1.8 or 18? Why stop at 12?
Honestly, the demand for them has really dried up here in the US. I know it's a little different. The appetite for nicotine is a little stronger outside of the US. But here in the US, vape shops universally will tell you that they're just not selling 18s. I have very few customers that were opting into 18. I used to offer 18 in the subscription service, and now I no longer do. You just had too few customers that really wanted 18 to make the ordering of juices across 200 brands make sense. So I ended up having to sit on a lot of 18 milligram inventory, which doesn't make sense for my business. And I just feel like the devices have gotten powerful enough that, you know, if you're on an 18 with an underpowered device, I'd rather give you a really good discount on a higher powered device and help you step down to 12 than to keep trying to struggle to source 18s for the customer. So it was a hard decision to make, but I think ultimately it's, you know, really just trying to follow the trends that the industry presents to us.
Yeah. So where can people grab your juice from? Whereabouts can they pick it up? Is it purely on your website, or have you got any other resellers?
Oh yeah, we've got so right now the best place to get it is our website, www.craftvapery.com. We are distributed in a number of, about a couple hundred stores here in the U.S., and obviously we're working to get that better distributed every day. Overseas, we're starting to penetrate the UK market. We're in about 20 shops right now and actively trying to grow that market. We've got UK distributors that have just come online as of the last couple of weeks, as well as distributors in France. So the best place right now to get it is craftvapery.com, but hopefully you'll see it in brick and mortars, on your side of the world very soon.
Fantastic. Oh, are you going to be attending any shows next year in the UK?
Yeah, we're definitely going to do Vape Jam.
Yep.
And we're also investigating attending this year and displaying next year at the show in Ireland in November.
Vape Fest in Ireland, yeah, it's going to be a good one there.
I'm in love with my brothers and sisters on your side of the world, and I think, I don't want you to feel left out of the love that craft represents for the industry, and so it's a big part of my my priorities for the next year to really get the craft brand out to as many countries as possible. So
just on a roundup, do you have many subscribers from the UK and Europe?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 10% of our subscribership is specifically from Western Europe.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah, and obviously we're looking to to grow more in those areas. For now, those boxes are all still shipped out of the U.S., and I do understand that does cost you more. What you get in return is the fact that everything in that box is premium products from the U.S. And we are looking over the next year to set up distribution centers in Europe so that we can reduce the cost of shipping for the subscription service. So bear with us. I believe it's worth the extra expense, especially for the products that you get. But we are always looking to explore ways to reduce those costs and get products out to your country and others around you, at a more cost-effective price.
Fantastic, man. So you've heard it here first. Craft are here, and they're going to be getting bigger. So I know you've got to shut off, man. I know you're a busy person, and thank you very much for coming on in such tight time, man.
I had a good time, and I really appreciate the opportunity, Cal.
Well, hopefully we can get you on our main channel show at 7:30 on Wednesday, so we can get you on there. We can maybe talk about your history of vaping. I'm really intrigued to find out how you actually started vaping, how it all started.
Yeah, I have a pretty good origin story, and I've got I'm very deep into the high-end scene. I have a lot to talk about vaping, so I'd love to come on the show and and I'd love to make craft available to your listeners. So let me know what you want to do in terms of giveaways and all the rest.
Fantastic. So we'll get all that sorted out. I'll sort that with your team. But thanks again for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Oh, my pleasure, Callum, and keep up the great work. We're big fans of what you do.
Cheers, man. I look forward to the origin story.
I promise to give it to you.
Cheers, bro.
All right, talk soon.